Hey everyone. Alright, let's talk about the movie Avatar. We all know what Avatar is, right? Long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony. I'm sorry, I was ready to make that joke at some point. But anyway, the movie Avatar is still to this day the biggest film ever. Yeah, apparently this movie was made so much money at the time, and to this day is still the most has made the most money out of any movie ever. Over like $2 billion, I think even 3 billion as well. This movie has brought in so much. Apparently, there's just something about it that made so many people want to go see it. And truth be told, I gotta say, I can agree, it was a really great movie. It's not up there as one of the best movies ever, but in general, it is a pretty great film. A lot of people do like to find flaws with it nowadays. It is usually getting a reputation as being one of the most overrated movies out there, but I'm gonna be honest, I personally think it's still a great film. People argue it steals plot elements and it's just more sort of a visual fest and nothing else, but I do like its world building, creativity, and yeah, I guess the visuals are also a great aspect to it as well. It's definitely something that James Cameron made with lots of interest for it. And it's funny, before Avatar, he made Titanic, which was also the biggest movie ever at its time. So it seems like James Cameron could just touch something and make $1 billion for it. And so much so, the next movie he would direct after Avatar would be Avatar 2, which would come out about like 13 years later. Yeah, a whole 13 years of production for the Avatar sequel till we could finally get it. And when we did get it, it managed to prove to be almost as equally successful. It didn't ring in the same amount of money as the first one did, but it was very close to. It managed to actually make 2 billion as well, so I guess Avatar just still has that big effect on people. And I was one of those who watched this movie and who saw the movie in theaters too. So yeah, it rang all of us in. And I do have to admit, I thought the second one was also pretty great. It had the similar amazing stuff in it, like the first one, world building, cool visuals, a nice bit of creativity here and there. So yeah, Avatar and Avatar 2 are both pretty great movies in my opinion. They aren't the best sci-fi out there, but in general, I do think they're great movies. And of course, now we have Avatar 3 coming out only about 3 years after the second one. Guess it didn't take us long. But it's still, Avatar hype has to remain with these cases. I think we have like, I don't know, 3 more movies to come out or so. Either way, now we're on to the third one. And us Avatar fellas who want to see all these movies in theaters or as well as seeing them in 3D like I do, we went to go grab our 3D glasses and go see them in theaters. That's feel like that's kind of what I do with my life. I usually don't go see movies in 3D. I'm usually just like, let me just go see a movie. Why does it have to be in 3D? But when it comes to franchises like Avatar, I choose that sure, screw it. I think that's what it was meant for. James Cameron himself said that's what the movie was meant to be seen as. So I didn't get to see the first one in theaters, but I did go see the second and third one in theaters and in 3D. I had to make sure I saw both of those in 3D. So after seeing Avatar Fire and Ash in 3D, here is what I have to say about it. So, talking about the story is going to be different this time because it's a really long movie. It's like over 3 hours long. It's a super long film. So, obviously, the story is really long. I'm going to have to run it down a little bit, tell the story very briefly, not because I don't remember that much from it at all for how long it was. It's just a really long story. I don't want to bore you. It's definitely not because I don't remember everything that happened. No, I remember it flawlessly. Ask me the entire plot, I can explain it perfectly. But let's just talk about the brief stuff. Let's go through it really briefly. We start very closely to when the second movie ended, as all of the fellas in Pandora are recovering from all that crazy nonsense that happened in their world, pretty much becoming a trend for them at this point. And as they do, apparently, it seems the threat is not over. In the last movie, one of the army men, like Navy federal government thing, kind of forgot exactly what it's called, but one of them turned blue. They were able to grow into their body, and even with their body, they still are trying to attack their nation. So, at some point, he wants to come back for them. But they also want to track one human from their culture that become part of theirs who is apparently not able to grow their blue blood. He just lives in their world wearing a mask and is still a human. And they call him Spider because it's a cool name, I guess. There's this structure going on where apparently he's starting to be unable to keep living there because he has to keep wearing this mask that charges, and it's like he keeps running out. They keep having to run spares or whatnot. But on their way to try and recruit him back to his home planet, they end up crashing somewhere. And so Spider ends up with some of the other kids. Yeah, there's a whole group of Avatar kids now. They all pretty much group together, go on their own and such, but on their way, something happens. They learn that they notice this weird world featuring these weird flying things that I saw flying around the auditorium. Either that or it was just 3D effects, but whatever. Apparently, when one of the kids was able to pick it up, put it on the ground, and then use their hair locks to create roots or whatever surrounding this human, apparently it was able to give him the ability to breathe in their planet. He no longer has to wear a mask. He doesn't grow blue for some odd reason. I feel like that would have been cool to see finally, but no, he's now able to breathe in their world. But another threat occurs. Apparently, you guys go see that there's a bunch of weapons they have in their park. They have guns and such, but then the ruler's like, we can't use guns. Those are human weapons. Too dangerous for our pride. But they're like, we can defend ourselves with these. Let's use them against them. The weapons must be destroyed. Okay, I guess I can't see where people are coming from when they say this movie takes elements. Anyway, that's also a thing that happens early on. But then at some point, we also see that in their own tribe, they have enemies too. Like, you thought that everyone there had a peaceful interaction with each other. Well, we learned that the planet is home to a new tribe of people who are also blue, except they have red scars and are against sides. We learn briefly about what their motive are. They say something about how they want to be entirely against human race or whatever. So yeah, they pretty much attack on them. It's a side-to-side thing. So along with the humans, well, humans with of adding into their blue skin, along with them trying to destroy the planet, we also have this other group, this other tribe of blue people. I think they're called Solis, or that's the last name or whatever. They use that term a lot, Solis. So I'm gonna just go with that. I guess I don't know. They pretty much are on the second threat. They got two threats going on. And apparently we, at one point, the two threats actually meet with each other and decide to team up. So now we have the federal Navy unit teaming up with a new evil tribe along this planet as they both decide to capture the group together. So they capture Jake, the leader of such, or whatever, along with some of the other ones. They're able to capture all of them, and they eventually bring them into the human world, only very briefly. Yeah, you think that's gonna be that awesome bit where we get to see the human world interact with these people? We see that in a very slow and not very exciting bit. They don't really get to be seen in the human world that much. They're shown on the TV ones and camera, but they never escape the base. They're just stuck in the base. They never go into any city or such. We don't get to see them flying their dragons or whatever in the city. No, they're just stuck in the army base. That's all they did. They're tested there. They're locked in cages. And at one point, one of the people there decides to help him out, get him escape because, you know, I'm fed up with this protest. I want to be better than these people or such. So yeah, one helps them escape, and then they spend a while there, but they don't really do much. They just get tested, and then eventually they end up escaping, going back to their planet. And now they have to fight back. We get this awesome, long, dragged-out battle where they go between two sides. They go between fighting the tribe of Pandora, such, I guess, the Fire Nation. I guess you can call it that. It's the Fire Nation, yeah. All that Zuko shit. And then, along with that, they also have to fight the humans, who are bringing back their ships that they used in the first two movies to try to attack their planet. And we even get to see them get the animals, under the water creatures, to help out. Like, at one point, a bunch of squids and whales start just murdering humans. It's pretty violent, if you ask me. It's pretty insane seeing them just be like, all right, all you whales and squids, all you weird creatures, murder these humans. They literally say they're ready to murder them. So yeah, the tribe are they don't play. This planet will kill you if you try to invade them. That's what this movie's bringing us. All right, so all this happens. We got this big long fight. Very few main characters die, so not really much happens. And we know that the people, a lot of the main ones return. So that's just saving up for the fourth movie. But we also see an interesting way of ending. A new one is born. Apparently, one of the Solis, one of the blue creatures, was pregnant, and the baby is born by the end. So that's a new character to be introduced to in the next film. And we also see that Spider gets to see the what was it called? I can't remember exactly what this world was called. It was like the upper world or whatever, where he meets Sigourney Weaver along with a bunch of other folks that we remember from the last movie. I forgot exactly what that's called. Was it Overworld? I think Overworld was what it was called. Whatever it was called, that was how it ends. Spider seeing these people in this world, whereas he remains as part of Pandora, but is also getting to see it in a new light, I guess. We still don't get to see how he looks as a blue creature, but I again guess we have to wait for the fourth movie. Alright, so that's pretty much all I can analyze for this brief summary of the plot. Is the plot great? I wouldn't say entirely. The plot of this movie runs really long. I think that's a big complaint we can have about these movies. Really long run of the plot. But I also think that all the stuff that was awesome kind of had to be waited on. And I feel like there's still lots of things that could have been done with what they were bringing us. But instead, we just kind of have to wait for the next film to do that. So, I don't know. I feel like they really should have implemented more with what they were introducing in this film. And not drag it on too much. I guess making a short Avatar movie is hard for James Cameron, so I guess I should expect the fourth one to be even longer, but maybe add a little more action to it, because I admit the second film actually did keep me invested more than this one did. I remember I got more invested in the second film for how long, despite being super long, but this movie was also super long, and I was a little less invested. I remember a lot of it. I mean, there were some nice moments, like the scenes with Spider and the other kids were kind of sweet, I'll be honest. But other than that, not much else about this movie really stood out to me as awesome or memorable. There were awesome action scenes and such. We'll get to more on that later. But in a way, I just gotta say, plot-wise, this movie falls short. It's still a really good plot. I just think that it drags on a little too long for me to call it as great of a plot as the other two films. Alright, so genres. Action, adventure, and the fantasy. Those are the three aspects this movie, of course, works best with. It's the aspect of the Avatar world. The world of Avatar has those three aspects going for it. Let's talk about action first. I did just previously mention that the action in this movie was awesome, so yeah, I guess I can get that out of the way. The movie does have great action. It is obviously mostly like 99.9% CGI, with the very small percent just being from the people who are real humans just sitting in their chairs using fake CGI ships. But it still works really well. I think that CGI for action scenes still works as long as the action still looks awesome and convincing. And that is what Avatar is great with. So I think that's one aspect that made these movies so successful, with how upbeat and realistic the action is, despite it being super CGI-esque. So yeah, this movie's CGI action was really spot forward. So I will say this movie did succeed at making CGI action work just as well as real practical action. I'm not saying I'm looking forward to CGI replacing practical action scenes, but with what we have going for it, if you have this big world that's obviously not going to be easy to make in real life, you probably will have to go CGI. But if you want action in your movie and you have this stuff to work with, you gotta make it go all out, and that is what these movies do. So I will give Fire and Ash the credit for having great action in its movie, despite it all being from computers. Impressed. I shouldn't say I'm impressed, but I am. Okay, so adventure. The adventure more so being what new worlds they see. Not too many new worlds. We do see where this new tribe is located. We do try to explore more of it, but it's mostly just in the forest and in the water areas. I mean, I know it's creating new heights and depths, as the second film was what introduced us to the idea that there is underwater sections in this land. This movie kind of just tells us it's expanded so much. It's a big expansion for it. It's pretty much telling us that these waterlands are all over the place, and there's also all these big forests that come with new creations that are made for them or whatever. There's not really many new locations in this movie introduced. It's mostly just expanding on existing locations, which then again is still fun to see. I guess I can't say I didn't like that because I do love seeing all these new worlds. The water sections are really fun to watch, and I do love seeing how brightly detailed all these new areas are. And some of the areas in the human world are kind of nice, even though, like I said, I do wish they went more out into it. What we did see from it are pretty cool looking areas. It's like some shit out of the Alien movies, which is ironic because we have Ripley here. But yeah, man, these are fun locations. I just kind of wish that the adventure there was more different locations. It's mostly just expanding on existing locations, which still works good, but is makes it not as great of an adventure as I would have hoped for an new Avatar film. Can all be winners. I'm just saying. Adventure wise, this movie does also fall a tad bit flat. Fantasy aspect runs about the same as all three of the movies. It's the world of Pandora. All of the problems I have with this fantasy pretty much fall for the first movie. I the first movie's flaws for its fantasy aspect did have to do with how confusing it gets. But this movie was easier to understand. Maybe not the easiest, but with all the knowledge they have given us previously, they don't throw in too much new knowledge, and I like that. The only new knowledge they throw at us is giving Spider the ability to breathe without being blue. Even though I will admit that was a little of a disappointment, it wasn't entirely confusing. How they explained it made enough sense. They just showed that they could use their hair locks to bring in these little hairs to, I guess, bond with each other and create the breathing oxygen or whatever. It made enough sense to work, so I'll give it that. This movie did also have that weird part at the end where Spider put his hand on something and it showed him to this different overworld thing, whatever. That also kind of was a little confusing in a way, but at the same time, they didn't drag on too long with it, and it was something that the first two movies was trying to work for. So I'll admit this movie's fantasy isn't as annoying to handle as it was in the first one. The second one handled it well. This one handled it probably better. So I think the overall idea of creating these new ideas in Pandora will improve as the movies go on. It'll get better and better as there should be less things to have to explain to us, as the first movie had to make sure everything made sense to the audience. And it worked in some ways but failed in others. But with these sequels, we just have to work with it now. And they don't, like, the things that they do have to explain, some will be a little confusing, but for the most part, it should make sense because you already know this world. So yeah, I guess I can say this movie's fantasy was better told than in the first one, but not in the second one. So that's my final thoughts on Avatar Fire and Ash. It is a really good film. The visual effects are amazing. The designs are fun. The locations are beautifully done. The 3D aspect is always fun. The story is what makes this weaker than the other two movies. I gotta say, the first two movies were great in my opinion. This one was just fine. It the visuals and the action scenes were what saved it, but the story is what almost ruined it. The story works, but in most cases it doesn't. There are just lots of scenes that drag on, lots of scenes that don't go in the direction we would hope, lots of things that kind of feel a little off the edge. So if you're not a diehard Avatar fan, you're probably going to have lots of problems with this movie. I'm not a diehard Avatar fan. I am a diehard fan. No, I'm not. But I do still think that these movies are worth the will of seeing, or at least seeing in 3D. So I still like to check these out. I'm just saying, there are going to be a lot of people who have more things to hate about with this film. But for the most part, if you're just someone who likes to see how visually appealing and how nice, funly world building a movie can get, then this will be the film to watch. And it is something a lot of audiences go for, so that might have to do with what makes these films so successful. I did just see this one before its weekend gross would finish off, so at this point in time, I don't know entirely if this movie will succeed as well as the other two. Will it top 1 billion? Will it top 2 billion? Will it even outgross the other first two movies at all? That part is probably gonna be hard, but we'll see. We'll see. This movie should become a big hit because it is Avatar. But either way, my personal thought on the movie was that it was really good, 7 out of 10, just not an 8 out of 10 like the other two for how the story goes. It works at times, but at times when it fails, it's just when it goes into that small bit. But I still have fun for it, and I still really do look forward to the next films. Let's see. So the first one tackled air, pretty much. We tackled water in the second one. The third one tackles fire. Earth. Huh. Earth should be next. Well, no, Earth was tackled in the first one, so it's air that's next. I'm thinking water. You know what I'm going with, right? Yeah. No, we tackled Earth in the first one. I was thinking wrong. So the fourth one should be focused on air. Yeah, we have air for Avatar 4. The air. Okay, no, that's gonna be a lawsuit, I'm sure. Still though, I don't know. We don't know at any point now what they're gonna do with the fourth one or how many more movies we'll get. But Avatar does seem like the perfect kind of movie to expand on. So, well, who knows how many movies we're gonna get of this? And for all we know, there could be a never-ending expansion of Avatar films, like maybe like the MCU kind of. Well, probably not. These movies take longer to make, and they are longer, so it probably will just be like 5 or 7 films. Who knows how many movies it's gonna be? All I know is I am looking forward to them. I am looking forward to what new things these films could bring us. So come on, James Cameron. Don't get into too much. Just try to make your world building a little better than just focusing on nothing but visuals. Because you are great at visuals, but I do want more world building to make sense. That's just what we all want.